work as a client solutions analyst for a technology company that is based out of Silicon Valley in California, and I work in the London office. So the company makes software, enterprise-level software, that we sell to other companies. So there is a business-to-business model there, and the software helps the companies manage the customer experience in an operational way. When we say customer experience, we mean basically any experience that or any interaction that a customer has with that particular company. And examples can be, imagine you go to an Apple store and you buy an iPhone. You have an experience with the store itself, the decoration, for example. You have an experience with the frontline employee that treated you. You have an experience with the product. Or you stay in a Hilton hotel for a night. You can rate the experience of the room itself, of the receptionist, or of the breakfast you had, etc. And these are not random examples. These two companies are our clients. So before my current role, I worked as an investment banking analyst for one of the global bulge bracket investment banks here in London as well. And I work on a few mergers and acquisitions deals in the power and energy sector in Europe and in the Middle East. My education includes a master's degree from Stanford University in the US in strategy, entrepreneurship, and finance, and a bachelor's degree with honors from Brown University, also in the US, in electrical engineering with a focus on bioelectronics. So, as I mentioned before, we sell a software that is quite sophisticated and quite expensive. It's a tool that companies use, and we need to configure it for them. So after a typical sales cycle, when we sign a sales or purchase agreement with our client, then we set up a project implementation team, and the client sets one on their side, and we go in the client and we implement the software. What I mean implementing is we try to understand the business requirements, or generally the requirements at two levels. One is the business level, so what business needs our software can satisfy, and also the technical level, so what are the technical requirements that we need. So I'm part of one of the implementation teams, or I manage an implementation team, depending on the project, and my typical day or week at work would involve meeting with the client, so I might need to travel in our clients around Europe, having conference calls with our clients, doing a little bit of technical design, in which case I'm trying to translate the business needs and requirements to technical requirements, and then also I do configuration of our tool for our client. Apart from that, I do other internal things for my company. Those can be, I'm part of a few initiatives, so I might be participating in training initiatives or in recruiting initiatives or some connectivity ventures that we have across the offices around the globe, etc. So I think there are three things that challenge me. So the first one is I like challenges and challenging problems. So I like solving problems. So every day is great when I can wake up, I can go to work, I have something that looks hard to me, and I have to figure out an efficient, effective solution at the appropriate time frame. So that's one thing. And being part of a growing software company, I would say I have that. The second thing is I like and I enjoy working in a team, and I enjoy working in a team with smart people. So I don't want to work alone. I want to go there, present an opinion, present a solution, and also have other people or ask other people to challenge my opinion and my solution and learn from them, and also collectively come up with the best solution to satisfy our client needs. The third thing that motivates me is having an impact. And that has, in my case, it has two outcomes. I can have an impact on our clients directly, and there have been cases where after an implementation project, we get extremely good feedback, and they might send us an email saying, you guys are amazing helping us doing that, and this works well. The second level or outcome of the impact is because our clients have millions of customers around the world, there are many cases where real people, my friends or people who are watching that video, might come to me and they say, I stayed in that hotel, I received a survey to rate my experience, and it was from you. So that's an amazing feeling to have an impact. So going back to that age, I think I would give myself 3 pieces of advice. The first piece would be, before formulating an opinion or making a choice, do a proper due diligence. And that means asking different people for different opinions, aggregate the opinions, evaluate them, and then form your own opinion. And that's important. For example, if you're in university and you wanna choose, you're considering majoring in chemistry, it's great to ask someone from that major in chemistry and get their perspective. But it's also very useful to ask other people that have not studied chemistry and see what they think about chemistry or what they think about their own majors, and then form your opinion. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, after you formulate your opinion, I would encourage myself to just go ahead and try it and not fear of failing. So unless you try something and unless you have different experiences, then you don't really know how something feels like. And that can be trying an internship during one of your summers, or trying some research work, or also taking a class at a different university or a different program at a different major and see how that feels like. And I would say I did those things because I started with an engineering degree. I did a little bit of research. I realized that I didn't like research. I went into finance. My priorities changed after a while. I wanted something a little bit more challenging. And now I am, where I have a little bit of, I can see a little bit of business and a little bit of technical work. The third thing that I would advise myself is, once you formulate the opinion, once you take the step and try things, then when you make a choice, when you make a decision, just be the owner of it. So don't be afraid of what other people will say. Don't be afraid, to get judgment from your parents, from the society, because at the end of the day, it's your choice. And once you like it and you're passionate about it, this is all that matters. So I think I covered what keeps me motivated a bit earlier. In terms of having mentors or role models, I wouldn't say I have 1 or 2 famous people that I aspire to. I think there are different categories of people that have helped me throughout my life and are still helping me and mentoring me, and those are the ones that I would like to acknowledge. And I would classify them into groups. They could be my peers, or my friends, or it can be colleagues, peers at work, with whom I worked and from whom I learned things, and they helped me develop certain strategies or develop a certain way of thinking, etc. Another thing I like doing is I want to see how people with similar resources or even less resources than me, where they are at in their lives right now, and try to see how they got there, what they did well, and try to adopt certain elements and see if they fit to my personality and my path, and if I can learn something from that. Other groups of people would be people maybe one level or a couple of levels ahead of me, in the sense that, they might be my managers, they used to be my professors, they might be my parents. Those are great mentors in the sense that there have been times in my life that each one of these people have told me 1 or 2 pieces of advice that are still with me today, and that shaped the way I did things and the way I do things now. Of course, there are a couple of people or a few people that are famous. It can be a politician, it can be a famous CEO or a business person that have said something that really touched me, and I will acknowledge them as mentors for that. But maybe not as a personality as a whole. So I try to get the pieces of advice that I think are relevant to me from various sources and people. So when I was working in the investment bank, there were a lot of challenges, and it was a fast-paced environment, and I was learning a lot. However, I reached a point in my career that I thought I would like to try something else and see, be a little bit more challenged as a person, and also try to see a little bit higher impact of and straight impact, as I mentioned earlier, of what I do. So when I was I found this opportunity of moving to a growing technology company, to which I could contribute with my every single move versus a bigger, more global organization, I thought that would be a great opportunity. So I went ahead, I went to California, I did the training. The culture was very, very different. And I think that was another appealing thing, aspect to me. And anybody that you ask that works in a software company, Facebook, Google, or any of these companies will probably tell you the same. So that was interesting. Learning about the product is interesting, and also now as I'm doing my job on a day-to-day basis, there are a lot of challenges that I have to tackle and problems that I need to solve that keep me motivated and engaged. What I would like to say about that is, for every transition, there are a few things that are important to make the transition smoother. I think the first is to try to be open to learning new things and be open to adapt and try to adapt as fast as possible. That definitely helps. The second thing would be to ask questions, because nobody expects you to go in a new role or a new job and know everything. So it's great to be able to ask questions and ask the right people the right questions. And people appreciate that because they think how you think, and you also learn on how they think. So you can be part of that new culture of that new company easier. The third aspect is just try new things in your new environment. So take on a new role, take on initiatives. Don't wait for people to come to you and show you how to do things. Just try things on your own. Even if you fail with a certain degree, people appreciate that. What I would like to share is that since this interview is going into the 100 Mentors platform, I would encourage anybody who is interested in speaking to me further about either an interview preparation or a session or an essay or a cover letter or a resume review, or in particular, I would be glad to have a session with someone to discuss their application for the undergrad school or a graduate school in the US.